Hello there, Taurus. Thank you for stopping by. This is your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. We are going to break the month down into 4 different time segments so that we have a chance to really look at the energy as it moves through the month rather than just one overarching message for all how many days for November 30? Yeah, for just all 30 days. We want more than one overarching message, don't we? We want to have more information than that. We want to have a heads up that we can work with. So this first time frame that we're going to be looking at is going to be November 1st through the 7th, Taurus. That's what we're going to take a peek at first. Let me get the cards on the table. Taurus, you guys have something going on during this time frame that has you a little bit on edge and tense. Feeling a little bit tight in my chest area as I'm putting down these cards for you. Let's see which has you guys stressed out. Let's see what all comes up. Yeah, let's see what all comes up. Alright. Sometimes we get tensed or stressed out when there's really not a reason to, too, you know? Alright, let's take a peek here. The first thing that we're looking at is going to be your environment. And your environment is any place that you have energy or effort invested. Usually it shows up as home. I have had it come up as work or as school before. Sometimes it just comes up as our own personal auras and our own bodies. But it's good to sort of have an open mind as to where this could be whenever I talk about environment. So what I have going on is that there's a lot of communication going on right now about the idea of going back to an old environment or going back to an old, changing the environment that you're in back to something the way that it used to be. And I think that you're not really feeling like that's the happiest making thought for you. Okay, thinking about going back to the way something, your environment used to be, or thinking about going back to an old environment. Either way, however that's manifesting for you, I don't think that that's your first choice. It's just an option that you're considering. Okay. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings during this time frame. Wow. Okay. So it looks like you've got something going on in your life that is very toxic. This could be a relationship or a situation. And it looks to me like in your subconscious, you're working out, okay, what happens if I let go of this? What happens if I just cut this out of my life? So whether it's a situation that you're considering walking away from, or whether it's a relationship that you're considering shutting down, there's definitely something going on here where the toxicity is not something that you're willing to tolerate anymore. And so your subconscious is working on how do I walk away from this toxicity? Okay. Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about learning style and also communication style. So when we are looking at learning style, it looks like you've got a couple of different types of information that you are digging for or learning about during this time frame. And some of this information is information about finding a solution to a situation or a problem in your life, and some of the other information has to do with just understanding a situation that you have some concerns about, that you want to start pointing the other direction from where it is right now. So it's like you've got hand in hand this information coming in. Here's the problem, and I'm finding out information about the problem so that I can find information for the solution, and a solution that's actually going to work. So that's the first thing that I'm seeing about learning style during this particular time frame. I do think also that the learning style ties in with the idea of stability. I think it's really important that you find balance and stability right now. And so some of what you're learning is helping you to do that. And also just a gracefulness and being able to be flexible and handle multiple things at one time. So you're learning how to multitask at levels that you have not done before. I'm not saying, guys, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you're learning how to multitask. I bet you quite a few of you know how to do that already. I think you're learning how to multitask at new levels. Okay? So some of you may be delegating some things, but others of you just may have more plates spinning in the air. Now, next thing that we have as far what we're looking at next is communication style. You guys may be doing some kind of public speaking. It does look to me like some of your communication is very elaborate. Very elaborate. And it looks like this is the type of speaking that would be planned out or written out. So that's why I'm saying maybe you're doing some type of public speaking. You could be defending a thesis. This would come up sort of in this way too, where it's a very planned out communication with lots of structure to it. The other things that we have coming in about communication for you during this time frame is that your communication is very powerful. People are paying attention to the things that you're saying right now. There is also some communication about money, finances. Maybe there's something that you're negotiating. Maybe there's something that you're looking for that costs money. Maybe you are value shopping for the best value. And then there is other communication that's coming in as well, where I think you are really what you're trying to do is you're trying to talk to other people gracefully. It seems to me like these other people may be a little bit difficult to communicate with because they don't necessarily hear what it is that you're saying. They kind of hear what they want to hear. And it looks to me like you are really doing a good job of communicating with them in a graceful way, in spite of the idea that they are a little difficult to communicate with because they kind of hear what they want to hear. I think that you're just, you know, every time you notice they're hearing something different than what you said, I think you're just coming back at it and saying it again and saying it in different words and, you know, elaborating or clarifying for them. But it really comes across that you're being very patient in this communication during this particular time frame. Okay. Next thing that we're going to look at shows me work for you. And for me, work is two things. It's what we do for a living or how we feel valuable to our community, but it's also those things that we do to make us happier with who we are as individuals. So when it comes to work, wow, you have a lot going on when it comes to work. There is major change happening there. Are either of these people Taurus? Okay, so you've got a couple of people at work that are can be a little difficult to work with at times. For some of you, this is the understatement of the year. Excuse me. So at work, there's a person there who is probably male or also very assertive female. But this is somebody who is moody, grumpy sometimes. This person can be somebody who's more in the bipolar category where they can be really happy right now and 2 minutes from now they can just be extremely upset. And this is somebody who twists the truth. They're not really honest all the time. When it doesn't suit them, they're not honest, okay? And then you've got somebody else who you're working with that is difficult in a different way, and this is more of a feminine energy, so this is going to be either a female or a less assertive male. And this is somebody who has a really hard time staying grounded, so their energy can be really scattered. So like right now they can be working on one project that might take 2 hours to finish, and 5 minutes from now they've kind of abandoned the original project. Now they're working on something else. And 10 minutes from now they've abandoned project number 2 and they're working on project number 3, and they're just very scattered. They're very not grounded. So they're having a hard time, number 1, being productive. 2, they're creating a lot of chaos because they've got a lot of things started but nothing's really finished. There's no actual progress going on. And so you've got these two working together in your space. Lucky you. But I do see a transformation coming in here, and I'm really liking that there's a transformation, because this looks like this could be really rough. For some of you, I'm actually picking that the transformation has to do with you and with your energy as you're coming back and forth to work, or as you're interacting with these people, whether you're actually working in person with them or not. For some of you, the transformation is actually happening because of this is incredibly specific, but I'm just going to say it because Spirit keeps nudging it at me to say. Some of you are going to be watching my video, if you haven't already, about psychic self-defense, and you're going to be using that, and you're going to be using those next steps beyond that to make a difference energetically with your sphere of influence where you work, because, and I think you're doing this because these two people are incredibly difficult to work with. You've got Miss Scattered, and you've got Mr. Moody, possibly bipolar. That's not a good combination by itself, and you're trying to either work with these people or make both of these people happy. Heaven help you. You need something like that psychic self-defense to kind of get things to smooth over at work. And so I really believe that it is you bringing in this transformation at work. And I do believe you're doing it energetically. Maybe you're using my psychic self-defense video technique, or maybe you are just simply doing something energetic that is of your own, or that you've picked up from somewhere else to help get things smoothed over and more productive at work. But I think that you're the one bringing the transformation there. Okay, now let's look at inner work. Inner work is that you have been feeling a little bit ungrounded yourself, and it's easy to see why if you've got that kind of stuff going on at work. And you, my dear Taurus friends, are not used to feeling ungrounded. That is not your normal personality. And the feeling of being ungrounded is making you a little bit moody and stressed out. Ooh, that's where that tension came from at the beginning when I was shuffling for this time frame. So this is making you feel really tense because you're not your normal self and you know it. And so the work that you're doing here is finding a way to get yourself back to being you and back to being grounded again and more focused on the things that you want to prioritize. Okay, so that's inner work during this time frame. La da da da. Let's look at what part of your personality is growing and expanding as we move through these days. Okay. Taurus. So it does look like there's somebody who has a lot of enthusiasm, a very sunshiny personality, somebody who is very optimistic and positive, somebody who's a real go-getter, very creative, really good at problem solving. They're not just positive but in their outlook, but they're very positive in their actions and how they handle things. And this looks to me like somebody that you're collaborating with during this time frame. And as you're collaborating with this person, excuse me, you're getting past some kind of sadness or heartache. My first take on this is that this is more of a professional type of thing that you're collaborating with this person on. And this person is helping you to get to a place where you're reaching more of your professional goals. Now, it's also not off the table, though, that this could be somebody that you're collaborating with that is actually helping you get over a heartache or a heartbreak having to do with personal life as well. So you could have both of these going on for a few of you. For most of you, this is going to be in work. But I'm going to say 20, 25, maybe even 35% of you, we're talking about that this collaboration is actually helping you get over a heartache that's in your personal life, or how that has to do with relationships, whether it's romantic or a family relationship or a friendship or whatever. Okay, so this is where you're growing or expanding right now, is getting over that sadness, or growing professionally so that things are going better through the help of somebody who is very positive, very good problem solver, somebody who is very good at reaching out to other people, probably has a nice strong network around them as well. Da, 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 da. Next thing we're looking at, Taurus, has to do with what you stand up for right now. You could stand for this very enthusiastically given the right circumstances, just because this position in the spread is influenced by Mars. La da 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 da. So Taurus, it looks like you have been the spectator in a situation where, I'm going to say probably one of your friends, maybe one of your acquaintances, but for most of you I think this is going to be one of your friends, or maybe even a sister or a family member, has had somebody come back into their life that they used to like to spend time with. And this person has shown back up again from the past. And I think what's going on is that whenever this person from their past comes back in and shows up, I think the sister, family member, acquaintance, whoever this is, I think that they have already moved on from that person. They've got their self-esteem back, Taurus. And since they have their self-esteem back, they're not really all gung-ho about having this person back the way they would have been even just a few months ago. Okay. Now, let's look at how the other person sees you. Now, the other person we're talking about, remember I said that this is talking about what you stand for? This person that you saw have their self-confidence come back to the point where they want to take the old person back from the past. You've defended that person that wouldn't take that other one back from the past. So now, whoever you had to defend that person to, they're seeing you as somebody who is getting over something yourself. And they're seeing you as finding personal satisfaction and happiness interesting. I think that what they feel like is that you and this other person, that you really identify with this other person because you've been through something similar to what they went through with the person that came back from the past. Whatever was the reason for them leaving. And so you can relate to them, and you can definitely understand why this person wouldn't want to take someone back. That's what this other person is seeing, that you've gone through something similar, and now you are finding your own self-confidence, and you're finding your own happiness without having that person that used to be in your past there. And so for you, the idea that your friend, sister, whatever, let this person know that, I just don't need you in my life like I used to think I did. To you, this is something that makes you happy. I think that this makes you proud of that other person, or at least this is what your person that you talked to feels like, that you're proud of that other person, and that because you identify, you're happy for this other person to be able to tell the one that came back from the past, you know what, not so into that idea anymore. Not so into the idea of being together, or being friends, or whatever the case might have been. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at, Taurus, during this time frame is your flex point and what happens during your flex point. Now, your flex point is where things start to change direction a little bit for you during this time frame or this week. So what do we have going on? I think there's a situation in your life. Let's see, who are you in this? I think there's a situation that comes up in your life, Taurus, where you're getting really good at loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. And there's somebody who comes into your sphere of influence, or maybe they're there regularly, but there's somebody who comes in there and they say, you know, I just don't think you're that good of a friend, or I just don't think you're that, you know, that great of a partner, or whatever it is. They're saying, you know, I'm glad you can love yourself, but I kind of don't have the interest in pursuing anything with you as far as relationship-wise. And what comes to me as I'm looking at this is I think you're really impatient with that message. And the reason I think you're impatient with that message is because you're at a point, you're like, nobody asked you. Nobody asked you. Nobody invited you to love me. Nobody invited you to be in any kind of relationship with me. What? Where is this even coming from? Who says you get to judge me? That's what I see coming up there. There's just really impatience with this person having that message for you. Like, where did that even come from? I wasn't asking you to do anything with me. Type of attitude here that you have. All right, so what else is going on at the same time frame? Yeah, it looks to me like I think that you're telling this other person, actually, because this goes together so well, I don't know how it could be anything but this. I think you're actually telling this other person, you know what? I don't think it's a good idea if we get back together. Like, we've kind of already tried this and it didn't work before. And I'm not thinking that I want to try this again. I think that's what you're saying to this person. Whenever they say, you know, I would get back together with you if, you know, but you're not good enough as you are. You're saying, you know, let me just give you a little heads up here. I'm not really trying to do the whole get back together thing with you. Okay? What else is going on during this time frame? That's really powerful. You guys have the Magician and the High Priestess both in a 3-card spread, with the 5 of Wands right in the middle. There is definitely somebody that you are teaming up with during this time frame. And definitely not this person over here saying, oh, you know, bleh. Somebody who is really good at manifesting. And I think that this person, not only are they good at manifesting, they are recognizing your value, Taurus, and they know that you have good hunches or good instinct, that you have good intuition. And they feel like with their ability to get things done and with your intuition combined, that you guys could really make some things happen. And so I think this person is talking you into teaming up with them during this time frame. This is really interesting. All right. La da da da. I don't have any pentacles on that, but with that 5 of fire, that definitely could be a work thing. Okay, let's go back to the rest of this spread. We're going to look at where we see you at the end of this time frame. This is interesting. It looks to me like there is definitely something romantic going on at the end of this time frame, Taurus. I think there's somebody that has come back from your past. Maybe it's the same person that we just saw, but they're coming back with a different attitude now. Now they're stepping to you correct, where before they were coming at you with a little bit of an arrogant bent. Now they're realizing, well, guess what? When you said, I don't really see the point in us getting back together. Now they're realizing that, they don't get to just walk in like that and take over. And I think that as they're coming to you with a different attitude, now you're starting to be a little bit more interested in what's going on with them and what they want to actually do. You're starting to buy in. And in fact, you may be starting to fall in love with them again. For some of you, I do feel like this is definitely an again. In fact, I'm going to say I think this is an again thing. I think that you were coupled up with this person to some degree before. Does it have to be romantic? No, but it's definitely emotional. It could be about a friendship or a family thing, but it's definitely an emotional thing, and it's something that where you've had feelings for or care for this person in the past and it had been put on the back burner or, just maybe completely walked away from. Now you're allowing those to restart again, and you're getting a message from that person, hey, I love you. And I think that you're falling back in love with this person again. So that's where we see you at the end of this time frame. I hope it's not Mr. Arrogant or Ms. Arrogant, but I do have to tell you that if it is that person that came off so arrogant to start with, I think they're singing a different tune. And if it's not them, then this is somebody that comes in with a whole different attitude. Okay? So that's that time frame. Let me go ahead and wrap this up, take a little break, and then I'll come back and we'll look at your next time frame, Taurus. Thank you for being here. Okay, Taurus, we are back. And this is going to be for the time frame from November 8th through the 14th. So this is going to be the second week of November. Yes. Okay, so the 8th through the 14th. Let me just put a nice shuffle on these cards and then we will start putting them down and see what comes up. You guys feel much better this time around. I'm not feeling that tension that I was feeling for the last time frame. Feeling a little bit more relief actually there. La da da, la da da da. Have you guys ever seen the musical? It's called Company. I kind of feel like I'm getting reminded of that musical as I'm putting down your cards. I feel like you guys could be going through a time frame where you're looking at relationships and figuring out what it is that makes a relationship necessary or not necessary as we go through this time frame. Okay? Interesting. All right, let's get started with your cards, shall we? So we're going to look at your environment first. This is anywhere where you have energy or effort invested. Keep an open mind about where that might be for you. So it looks like to me like you have actually manifested the environment that you want, or you've manifested the components in your environment to be what you want during this time frame, and you are making long-term plans, but it looks like the plans that you're making have to do with the idea of moving on to the next environment. So the environment that you're in now, you're satisfied with it for now, but you're also making plans for the next new environment coming up You could actually be making plans for where you're going to travel on vacation. That might be the next environment that you're making plans around. Could be that you're making plans for where you're gonna move to next. This could be plans if your environment, if we're talking about your work environment, this could be that you're planning about, who do you want to work for next? Where are you going to be putting resumes in next? That type of thing. But I feel like where you are now, you're satisfied with this place for now. You just know that in the long term, there's something else that you want, bigger picture. And you are making plans to get from where you are now to there. All right, let's look next at your subconscious leanings during this time frame. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? So it's interesting. There's some type of money holdup or financial holdup that's showing up here, where there's money or some kind of material goods that you were expecting for something that you had invested in, whether you invested your time, your effort, your energy, or whether you flat out invested money. You were expecting to have a payday by now, and that is not coming in. And so with your subconscious is chewing on this. Okay, so I don't have a payday here, but I've got a good idea about something I could do somewhere else. Something, I think this is some other way of creating income that you have a good idea about. And I think that your subconscious is really looking at how do you talk to somebody else about this idea? I think that you do want to talk to somebody else about this idea and see if they would be interested in doing this with you or supporting you in some way with it. And so your subconscious is really working on not only how to talk to this person about this idea, but just basically how to get over the obstacle of the idea that there's no payday coming in when you expected it here. When you have this idea about how you want to move forward. So you may even be thinking about talking to this other person about supporting you financially until that payday does come in, or if you want to start a new business or a new project, about supporting that and then maybe paying them back after it completes. But there's definitely this obstacle coming up here of money that hasn't showed up when it should have, and you don't want to let that hold you back from the ideas and the plans that you have. So you're looking for, okay, what's a solution to this situation? That's where your subconscious is focused. Next thing that we're looking at has to do with your learning style and also your communication style during this time frame, Taurus. So what do we have coming up for learning style? You may be taking some kind of formal class or actual seminar where people are actually teaching you something intentionally. It looks like you could be here. For some of you, you may actually be teaching a class. We learn things best as we teach. I can definitely say that as a Reiki master, nothing makes you more motivated to know everything there is to know about something than the idea that you have to teach about it. So this could be that you're learning through teaching, but definitely there's something coming up like a formal class or a formal seminar. You may not be teaching it for some, but I feel like a small percentage of you are. Maybe the rest of you aren't, but a small percentage is teaching. The rest of you are learning in some type of more formalized setting. What else do we have? I think you are finding information about some things that you're very enthusiastic and hopeful about. And so just digging up information about how to move forward with that and make it as happiness making as you think it could be. And there's, also a lot of information that is coming up through reflection or through meditation, but that is really coming up more from your subconscious side than through your consciousness. Okay. Let's look at communication style. I do think that you're being very careful right now as you present communication, at least especially to certain people. You're wanting to make sure that the communication that you're putting across is appealing. is appealing and is information that people would be happy to know about. I do feel like also you are, not only are you highlighting the best parts of what it is that you're talking about to other people right now, but I think you're also being very intentionally open and honest and truthful and like an open book about this thing that you're being very positive about, that you're putting in the best light. I think that it's only in the quiet, in the dark of your bedroom, that you let yourself think about what if things don't go right. I think that public communication is all very positive. It's only when you're talking with yourself at night that you're looking at, what if everything doesn't work out the way that I'm hoping for it to? What do I do then? What's the backup plan type of thought processes? I don't even want to say that that's really what we think of as communication. You're just communicating with yourself, which is technically communication, but this is not something that you're communicating to anybody. You're not communicating, your doubts or your fears to anybody. You're just working on those all by yourself, communicating all the good stuff to everybody around you. Let's look at work next. You are back to work and you're not very happy about it. Not liking it so much. Definitely back to the old grindstone, but it looks like there's something having to do with work where everything isn't totally clear. Excuse me. And that may have to do with the idea of, how long are you back to work for? Or there may be things going on in the office that aren't really totally clear. Maybe there are some policy changes that are happening. And so I do think that there's some kind of confusion around work, and I think that around that confusion there is somebody who is getting it twisted. For some of you, somebody's getting information twisted in an intentional way. In other words, they're lying. Liar, liar, pants on fire. But I think for most of you, people who are getting information twisted when it comes to work and details about policies and things like that at work and how things are happening there, for most of you, I don't feel like people are getting it on purpose. I think that it's just that the messages are coming through in a very confusing way, okay? Not sure if we're out of Mercury retrograde by this point or not. Mercury retrograde could be playing a factor in that. Now let's look at... No, I think we're coming out of Mercury retrograde like the 13th of November. So that would be a lot of why. Excuse me. Alright, so let's look at inner work. What do we have here? The first card basically says the work is never done. We know this though, right? Those of us who have been on our journey of awakening for a while, we know that. I think that we are uncovering a part of ourselves where we've been deceptive with our own self about something going on in our life. And as we're uncovering that, we're not very happy about it. So obviously there's going to be some action that we have to take when you uncover something like that, where you haven't been truthful with yourself. You have to look at that situation and you have to ask yourself, am I going to accept this situation the way it really is? Because obviously I was hoping it was something different, otherwise I wouldn't have myself about what it is. Or am I going to, am I going to get out of this situation? Or am I going to find a way to change this situation? So you have some pretty hard questions to ask yourself here during this time frame as far as inner work. Okay, so next thing that I'm looking at is that part of your personality which is grown or expanded as you go through this time frame, Taurus. What do we have here? Looks to me like there's somebody who in the past has sort of pushed you into making a decision that without their influence you probably would not have made. And this could be the deep, deep, deep past for some of you, like childhood type past. Doesn't have to be fresh. And I think what you've done is, even though you were forced into a decision that you would not have made on your own, I think that that was a disappointing situation for you, but you made the best of it. And I think that what's going on right now is you're forgiving that person that sort of pushed you into that decision. And you're letting go of the hurt of that and the pain of that. Interesting. I'm kind of wondering if you're letting go of the hurt and pain of that, if that's easier to do because you didn't so much focus on the disappointment of it at the time and you went for the opportunity that gave you, and that turned out really well. I'm kind of wondering if that's why you're able to find this forgiveness, or if you're able to find this forgiveness for a different reason right now. Either way, that's where you're growing and expanding at the moment, is forgiving somebody for kind of pushing you to make a decision that you would not have. Next, we're looking at those things that you stand for. So this is something that somebody has confronted you about, or at least mentioned to you that you felt like you needed to stand up for. And it looks to me like you have put a lot of time and effort and energy into making sure that you had options about things that you could do whenever it comes to work. Because what you were doing before, you weren't too thrilled with making you happy. And so now that you've put in this time and energy and effort to have some options that make you feel better, you're in a different position now. And somebody may be saying, yeah, but you were so secure before. You were in a secure position. So what? You didn't like your job. You were bringing in the bacon. And you've had to defend this idea of, yeah, that's fine, but I hated it. Like I was dying inside every single day when I had to clock in there or show up there or whatever. So you had to defend this idea of setting yourself up to have other options to choose from as far as work. How this other person sees you right now, they see you as somebody who's very stubborn, actually. And they see you as having put out this unnecessary amount of energy or effort, maybe even finances, to bring these options into your life. But at the same time that they feel like you really went to a lot of extra just because you're too stubborn to stay in something secure, they still have this attraction to you. Like they find that attractive that you've done that, even though it doesn't necessarily make sense. They see you as somebody who is adventurous, and that's exciting to them. I don't think that I get the impression that they don't have it in themselves to be that adventurous, to go for something that they would actually like if what they were in was already secure. All right? I think that fascinates them about you. Yeah, I said that right. Okay, so next we're going to look at your flex point, Taurus, and see what shows up here. This is the place where things start to just change direction a little bit for you during this time. I do see you being really, really patient with something. It looks like there's something going on in your life, Taurus, that you're really confused about. You just really don't know which way is up or which way is down. And I think this comes across to me that this has to do with another person who is sending you some really mixed messages. They may be very confused themselves. And so, of course, if you're trying to find some stability in what they're saying, of course you're going to be confused. That's not going to happen. But I see you hanging in there for the ride. Patiently hanging in there for the ride. So if they're confused and that's causing your confusion, you have some kind of empathy for them. Like you can see why they might be confused. And so I think you're just hanging in there for the ride, waiting to see where it all lands. Now, at the same time that is happening, You're feeling pretty secure. You're feeling pretty secure. This is interesting. I think you're feeling secure financially, but your self-esteem is low. And I feel like there's a little bit of a detached feeling whenever it comes to this person that you have all this confusion around. You're starting to just sort of mentally and emotionally detach. And I think that has to do with the idea that that all of their confusion making you confused is making your self-esteem go down. And so you're feeling like, you know what, I've got to kind of, I've got to kind of pull back from that picture a little bit so that I can have my own self-esteem back. And like I said, I feel like you're pulling back in such a way that you still are financially secure. I don't feel like you're cutting your nose off to spite your face there at all. Other things going on at the same time. You are doing a lot of reflecting. Really thinking about things, looking at things that have happened, looking at what your priorities are, and looking at, how you feel about things right now. I think that you're feeling a little bit uninspired by all the confusion. It's like, it comes across to me that you're getting messages that are just contrasting, and they're coming in a contrasting way so often that you're tired of pivoting. It's just got you worn down. You're tired. Like you're at a point now, like you just don't even care what this person is saying at the moment. That there's that detachment we saw earlier. You just don't even care what this person is saying at the moment. You're not trying to keep up anymore with how they're changing their minds and being so fickle all the time. You're just not even trying to keep up at this point. And I feel like part of that not trying is you're realizing that, you need to get your own grounding. You need to get your own self-esteem back. And so to get your own grounding and to get your own self-esteem back, you are doing some reflection. You are thinking about things. You're looking at your inner self. You're looking at your core to figure out what it is that you want and what are your priorities so that you're able to find your grounding and find your own mojo in spite of all the confusion coming from this other person. It's become a priority to you because it's just too tiring to try to keep up with them. If you're tired, I'm wondering how they're feeling. Are they even noticing? All right, so let's look at where we see you at the end of this particular time frame, Taurus. So we've got at the end of this time frame, you're done with waiting to see where things are going to settle. You're done with that. And it looks like there's somebody that you've been partnered up with, and I think that this is going to be more of a personal partnership than a business one, that you're just not on the same page with. You're just not there. And I definitely have the impression there's not somebody else in the picture. It's not like you have a backup plan per se, or there's any competition around for this person. It just comes across to me that you're just tired of trying to keep up with how many ways this person can spin their head at the same time. And there's just this sense of if you're somebody that's my partner, I'm supposed to be able to find some kind of rest in you, some kind of peace in you, and I don't have any peace whenever we're trying to talk and do things together and work things out. And so there's this sense of coming away. And I feel like, Taurus, I feel like you're separate, or you're not on the same page with this partner, because it comes across to me that you feel like you have to get away from this person to find any peace anymore. I don't think that's the way it started out, or that's the way it used to be, but I do think the way the cards are here now, that's what it shows me. It shows me that you're just tired of hanging out waiting to see what's going to happen next, and you're ready to find some peace because that was not bringing you peace. And so you're pulling back. You're pulling back. You're not pulling back to go to somebody else. You're just straight up pulling back so that you can get grounded and get some peace. All right. So that's the end of that time frame, Taurus. Let me go ahead and take a break. I'll come back and see you for the next one. Thank you once again for being here and for subscribing if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you for coming back. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Welcome back again, Taurus. This time we're going to be looking at November 15th through the 21st. See what kind of energies show up for you during this time frame. What kind of heads ups do we have? Okay, my friends, let's see what we have here. Starting off with your environment. Alrighty. Excuse me. Looks like you are leaving the environment. Looks like you may feel like that the environment that you were in previous to this time frame was pulling you down or dragging you down or holding you back. And so it looks to me like you're getting your money together, you're getting in some money, and you've got a great idea about where you want to go. Didn't we see you planning that in your subconscious too last time maybe? No, that was something different. That was a situation. Could have been the same, I guess. Alright, so anyway, it looks to me like you are leaving your environment. You've got in some money so that you can do that, and you've got this wonderful idea about where you would like to go. This can be a temporary departure. This can be you taking vacation. But it doesn't have to be. It's not one of my typical move cards, though. You could be moving with the combination that I have, but that's not, it doesn't come in the way that it typically would. Yeah, so this could be more about work than home. Or it could be more temporary than permanent, this leaving your environment. Okay, let's look at your subconscious leanings. Subconscious leanings for this time frame. You do have some kind of message or information that lets you know that there's something that you can go ahead with that you feel really inspired about and that you would love to move ahead with. The only problem is not everybody who you would need to be on board for this is in agreement with you. And so the frustration of knowing that if everybody was on board, you could move ahead with this thing, but not, just being stuck has you feeling very frustrated. And your subconscious mind, what you're doing is you're going over that. You're really working on, okay, well, maybe there's some way to get everybody on the same page, or maybe there's somebody else that I can work with on this, or, maybe. You're really looking for some kind of solution so that you can actually move forward with that thing after all. All right. Now the next thing that we're looking at here has to do with your learning style and also your communication style. So let's start with learning style. It looks like you're picking up a lot of information during this time frame. Most of the information that you're picking up, I don't feel like it's coming from classes, seminars, anything like that. I do feel like it's coming more from just very casual interactions with some of the people around you and paying attention to what they're saying and how they're saying it, their body language, that type of stuff. Just picking up information just through casual interactions. For a lot of you. What else do we have here? There's a lot of darkness coming up in these cards, like when you look at it, it looks dark, not like dark like evil. And this tells me that you may be finding out a lot of information or doing a lot of research at night or during the later hours of the day. Maybe where you're finding a lot of your information, or I should say finding a lot of information. Interesting. I think meditation might be a part of it, but there's also this idea about research that's happening then as well. All right, let's look at your communication style. It looks like there's a lot of communication going on right now between you and somebody else, and a lot of this communication that you're doing has to do with ideas around different things that you could do to improve your living situation or your life situation, whether that is different types of work that you could do, coming up for different promotions or putting in for different promotions, different places that you could live. It just looks like you're really looking at all kinds of different options for things you could do to make your lifestyle better or more in line with what you would like. And I think you're talking with people who can help you to sort of put the pieces together on that and figure out how to get from the lifestyle you're living now to the lifestyle that you want to live. And when I say, the lifestyle, I mean, this can be, if you want to live closer to your parents because maybe they're not doing as well health-wise as what they have in the past, or if you are, if you've been really struggling financially, maybe you want to develop a lifestyle where, you can count on, not having to scrounge for gas money to get back and forth to work, or food money or rent money or whatever, whatever that challenge might have been. This could be that if you have a lifestyle where you've just been working like 80, 90 hours a week, and you want to spend time with family, this can be, how do you get from point A to point B? How do you get from where you are now to actually having that balance where you have time for your family? So there's a lot of ways that this can play out, but I just feel like you're really talking to some people around you who would have some good ideas and be able to help you to get from the lifestyle you're in now to the lifestyle that you want. And part of that communication is looking at all the options that you have to get from here to there. Okay? La, da, 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 la, da, da, da. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your work. It looks like you may be taking some time away from work, taking some time even to be on your own, or if not on your own alone, on your own with the people that you care about the most. I do feel like as you're taking this time away from work, this is a good thing. This is a rejuvenating thing. Like I said, this could be vacation. Earlier that showed up, it would go nicely with what I'm seeing here for work, actually. I've got the Fortune's Wheel showing up here, so this is telling me that this is not being laid off or losing your job or anything like that. This is just you laying down your responsibilities for a little bit. And I think that as you're laying down those work responsibilities, you're manifesting some of the things that you really want to create in your life. Maybe your vacation, your idea of vacation is working on a side gig and getting it launched. There's definitely, or maybe you just want to do some amazing cooking, or you want to eat some amazing food that somebody else cooked, but you're manifesting these things that you want while you're not really paying so much attention to the responsibilities of work at the moment. Okay, Taurus? Now, for inner work, your inner work really has to do with this idea of just say no. Going back to a phrase that Nancy Reagan used to use, but putting it in a little different application. I think that it's very easy for you to pick up responsibilities and to tell people, you know, I'll do this. Yeah, I'll bake a dozen cupcakes for the class, or, you know, I'll do this for this organization, or I'll do that at work. You know, it's really hard for you to say no. It comes across that not picking up those extra responsibilities is kind of a hard thing for you to do. And I think that your inner work right now is for you to prioritize and to look at, what do you want to do for you, and make that the first priority. And then if you can fit in that extra dozen cupcakes somewhere, sure. But this has to do with setting those priorities and making sure that you're replenished and you're taken care of before you're doing other things for other people, to replenish and take care of them. You've got to make sure that there's water in that hose before you can water the garden, you know. All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded as we go through this time frame. It looks to me like you're making some type of commitment or contract during this time frame that maybe doesn't pay as well as what you might have hoped that it would pay, but whatever this commitment or contract is makes you very happy. So this could have to do with a work situation. This could have to do with a partnership situation. But either way, this partnership or contract that you're getting into is one that makes you very happy, even though I think that you may have to have some other source of income besides this if you get into it. Well, and it looks like you're getting into it, so you may need another source of income as well. Or you're going to have to just tighten up the belt, either way. Next thing that I'm looking at are those things that you stand for. What's going on here? So it looks like somebody has sort of said something to you or confronted you about a situation where you had something that you had sort of put on the back burner and you weren't giving very much attention to anymore, that you have now pulled out and you are paying attention to it again. You're talking about it again, and it's not very stable. I will tell you, it's not very stable. I'm hearing it's a long shot that you have brought back from the back burner to the front burner to start to pay attention to again. And somebody's confronted you about this, like, you know, why are you taking a long shot at a time like this? And you've had to sort of defend that in a way. Now, how this other person is seeing you as you're defending that, they're really questioning whether you're following your own intuition in doing this. I think they feel like this is, whatever this is that you're bringing back from the past, I think they had the impression that you never really liked it to start with. That was kind of why it was on the back burner. And that they feel like you're not really following your intuition. You're not following your heart on this. But they can see that you are definitely focusing on it. So I think there's a little bit of worry there on their part as to why you're doing what you're doing. And I think they may be worried that if you're not following your intuition to do this, it just may not turn out well, or it may not last very long, is what it looks like to me. All right, so the next thing that we have is our flex point. This is where things start to turn in a little bit of a different direction for you during this particular time frame. Okay, so while you're not working right now, I do see you making plans about getting back to work and how you're going to do things when you get back to work, and you know what you're going to take care of first, and just really making plans. So even while you're on vacation, you're thinking about, well, how can I play catch up once I get back to work? How can I get everything accomplished quickly enough? That's what it looks like to me. Or you could be making plans for what you're doing on the side. I'm not sure, but definitely there are plans involving work showing up even as you're not working. Now, at the same time, you have definitely put some boundaries up between yourself and somebody else. You've basically taken some time to go off and be by yourself and really reprioritize some things. And as you've been reprioritizing some things, you've come out of that thoughtful, reclusive type of state of mind, but you've come out of that with boundaries. Like you're ready to be around people, but only to a certain extent. You're only letting them in so far. And I think that this has a lot to do with your self-esteem right now, that you're protecting your self-esteem. So the people that you're only letting in so far are probably people who have, done a number on your self-esteem before. So now you're coming out of that really thoughtful time frame with boundaries up between you and somebody who might, be attacking you emotionally or mentally. Also at the same time, oh yeah, you're definitely taking control of your life right now. And you're not letting any distractions come in. There's been something that you've been wanting to do for a while, and you are taking action, not letting any distractions in so that you can really focus on it as you take action. And that's a part of the boundaries that you're putting up. You're not letting people come in that can distract you and can mess with your sense of self-confidence and, pop that bubble that right now is what your dream is. You want to actually make that dream more of a reality before you start really going around those people again, so they don't have the chance to do that. So keeping them sort of clear of what you're doing in your life as you're taking control of your life, Taurus. La da 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 da. Next thing we have coming up talks to me about where we see you at the end of this particular time frame. Okay, so what I'm seeing is that during this time you're really impatient about really setting that foundation on something, getting something really in place, stable and secure. And I think that you're just really impatient, not like how long that it's taking. I think you kind of, I really think that you thought you could sort of wave a magic wand and it would all be taken care of. And the reality is setting in that this is going to be something that, takes some time, takes more energy and more effort than you thought it would. And so there's a certain amount of impatience here. There's a little bit of a just type of energy of, I didn't think that this would take this long. I really thought I could have this foundation set by now and be moving on to the next step in this process. And it's just not there. It's just not happening yet. Okay? So that's where we see you at the end of this time frame. Let me go ahead and take a break and I'll come back and we'll hit the last time frame for November. See you soon. Thanks for being here. Okay, Taurus, we are back for the last section of the month. This is going to be from November 22nd through the 30th. So it's a week plus 2 days this time that we're looking at. We're just going to shuffle the cards pretty good, and then we're going to put them down and see what comes up. Oop, we had one that tried to flop. You might have something on your mind. Not feeling like you've got a super hyper amount of stuff on your mind, but something. All right, let's take a peek. Let's take a peek. Okay, cards are on the table, Taurus. Let's take a peek at what's here. Let's start with the environment. Any place you have effort or energy invested. Looks like you have some major change going on in the environment during this time frame. It looks like there's been something going on where um, you've been working towards some kind of goal along with some other people or another person, and that goal is not coming to pass, but you guys are taking something in a different direction than what it had before. So some kind of inspired idea about changing things around because something really isn't working. To me, this has a strong feeling of work, some kind of work project where maybe something it wasn't working out really well. Maybe an advertising campaign wasn't working, or the project itself wasn't working. And so taking it in a different direction that works better, that has more potential for growth and to be of service to the world. Now, if this is in the home situation, this could be that there were some kind of improvements that you guys were trying to make on the home, and you realized as you were going forward, maybe you found something as you were making that change that sort of rerouted the whole direction that you had to take, because you realized that there was something under the walls or under the floor or whatever, just something that was not planned for that makes you change direction in that. So there could be something like that going on. There could also be major changes in the structuring of your partnership or your marriage or just your family dynamic that could be happening as well. So there's multiple ways that this could manifest, but basically we're looking at your environment where we're seeing big changes happening because things weren't working out the way they were being handled by those of you in that environment. And so now just sort of pivoting and going a different direction with that thing that wasn't working so that you can be working on something that'll be more successful. All right. So let's look at subconscious leanings next, Taurus. Subconscious leanings. There is somebody that you're missing. There is somebody that you're missing here, but in spite of missing them, I feel like you're doing pretty well. You're happy overall. Other than missing this person, things are going fairly well for you in general in life. And there is sort of, there's something about missing this person that sort of had you in bondage before. And I feel like you're releasing yourself from that. And the bondage was really about your perspective about this more than anything else. So you're finding a new perspective around missing this person that is actually allowing you to step more into your happiness and more into your own personality. And that's what's going on in your subconscious leanings. Next, we're looking at learning style and communication style during this time frame. There's a lot that you're learning about homes in general, and maybe even things in your home, but I think homes in general right now, particularly as it applies to your home. La da 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 da. That kind of goes along with what we saw in the environment too, if that's about home. Looks like you're also learning something about some type of cycles as well that we have coming up here. Cycles of day and night. Cycles of seasons, cycles of relationships, but there's something here that about cycles that's coming up for you, Taurus. And also you're learning something about emotions, and I think that you're finding out something about somebody else's emotions during this time frame that you find very surprising. Looking at your communication style, la da 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 da. I think you're being very careful with some of the things that you say. It looks to me like there's a lot that you're holding in or holding back that you just don't care to talk about or to address, at least with certain people in your life. It also feels to me like you may be spending some of your time during this time frame just being kind of tired of talking to people. It's the best way I know how to put this feeling, like, just tired. Maybe people are asking you about the same things over and over and over again, and you're just tired of talking about it. There are certain people in your life, very few, but certain people in your life, Taurus, that you're kind of pouring your heart out to, and you're letting them know exactly how you're feeling. But there's very few, like I said, that is just the inner circle. If there's even a circle, it might just be one or two people. All right. Next, we're going to look at work for you guys. We're going to look at outer work first, or what you do to make a living or feel productive in the community. La da 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 da. Looks to me like you're really enjoying your work right now. You're definitely bringing that thing back from the past and working on it at the moment. It's still not very stable or secure financially, but you're still working on it, and you're loving it. And you're loving it. As far as inner work, what do we have going on here? Your inner work is really all about following your heart right now. And I think that this is something that you had kind of forgotten about for a while. I think you kind of knew how to follow your heart at one point in your life, but you'd kind of forgotten. Now you're re-finding that. You're not too good at it yet. You're not too good at it yet, Taurus. I don't see you as being very stable with following your heart at this moment. You're kind of like that foal that just got born, that's kind of struggling to get to its legs. That's kind of how I see you right now. Like you're really struggling to follow your happiness, and that is your inner work at the moment. Like I said, I think you used to know what brought you happiness. You kind of have to rediscover now at this point in life, because you've spent a lot of time helping other people have their happiness, but not so much working on yours. A lot of people do that. Don't judge yourself for it. A lot of people do that. Lots and lots. Some of them even have support groups because they do that they go to. All right, let's look at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. It looks to me like you've got your boundaries up between you and somebody else that you feel like, well, I think you're very well aware that they tried to pull something deceptive on you. And I think you were aware at the time that they were pulling something, maybe not all the details, but you knew something was up. And so you're putting up boundaries between yourself and that person. And the reason that you're putting up boundaries for them, between you and them, is because it just doesn't feel good to be around them anymore. It just feels icky. Feels icky because you can't trust them. So that's where you're growing and expanding right now, that you're not just tolerating and tolerating, you're putting up boundaries. Now, looking at something that somebody has probably said something to you about, and you've been in the position where you've been defending this or talking about this, but probably defending it. What do we have? What was it that you've been defending? You've been defending the idea that you have been taking back control of your life. This looks like an ongoing conversation really with the same person that we saw from last time frame. That, your self-esteem had kind of gone down the tubes and you weren't very happy about that. And so you decided to take control of your own life. And that's what you're defending, is this idea that, you had to be proactive. You saw what was happening to yourself and you had to look out for you. And how this other person perceives you is they're seeing you as somebody who, this may be somebody that you sort of had to put boundaries up towards, because they're seeing you as somebody who's not willing to work or to give something a try. And they're seeing you as somebody who is interfering basically with their happiness. And even though you're interfering with their happiness, you're very happy. And I think this actually really upsets the person, that you're very happy. And when they feel like you're interfering with their happiness, it's because you're not doing exactly what they want you to do, which you have before. You just sacrificed yourself for that person. You're just done. You're done sacrificing yourself for somebody. And so I'm going to say that I think they're sort of having a little bit of a fit here, because this is basically a backlash, because now you are taking control of your own life because this person was hurting your self-esteem. So now you're taking control of your life. You're keeping some boundaries up between you and that person. They don't like it. They liked it when you were their puppet. They don't like it when they don't have control over you. Too bad, so sad, right? Okay, Taurus. Let's look next at your flex point. This is the point where things start to change for you during this time frame. Taurus, you have a new beginning that's starting, and you're feeling like you have the abundance that you need to go ahead and start this new beginning. And you are actually leaving something behind, literally, so that you can have this new beginning. At the same time that that's happening, what else do we see here? Ooh, somebody's being grumpy. Somebody's being really grumpy, and they're trying to start a conversation with you about what you're doing. I get the sense that they want to bring you back. They don't want you to walk away. They don't want you to start something new. They want you to stay around them and stay focused on them. And so they're trying to engage you in some kind of conversation about that. What they're not realizing, though, is that you're following your intuition. And so logical conversation, which is what they're trying to throw at you, is not going to really sway you. Just doesn't. Now, what else is happening? You're very focused. You're very focused on something that you want to do to improve your life or your lifestyle. And I feel like you're not really satisfied yet with where you are on that. That's why you're focusing on ways to improve that. And you're collaborating with somebody else in that focus. So I feel like there's somebody else who's kind of coaching or encouraging or uplifting. I don't feel like you guys are collaborating like a 50-50 collaboration, as much as I feel like you found somebody who is happy to encourage you and to talk to you and to help you figure things out and to help you to have the motivation to move forward. All right. Where do we see you at the end of the month, Taurus? I think that somebody's going to kind of push you to the edge by the time we get to the end of the month. I do see somebody trying to push you into making a decision. Again, a decision that you should have a choice on, but you don't because of somebody pushing you. You're not very happy about this at all. At all. And I think, too, that this person that's pushing you is somebody that you had some heartache over them. You were greatly saddened by them before. And I think their act of pushing you is really helping you to heal up from that heartache. I think you're probably starting to feel more indifferent towards this person than care about this person because they push you. I also don't think this is the first time they pushed you. I think they've been pushing you for a while into making decisions that were not the type of decisions you would have made on your own. And the more you go down this track, the less you're able to appreciate this person's role in your life because they've pretty much overstepped their boundaries. And so this is actually, I feel like this is sort of a turning point. This last decision that they're pushing you into making, I think, is a turning point where you're just, I don't think you're going to let them push you into any more decisions. I don't think that you have feelings for them like you used to have anymore, and so I don't think you're going to let them keep pushing you. You're going to start making your own improvement a priority instead of leaving yourself on the back burner. Okay? So that's what we've got for the end of the month for you Taurians. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing this video with other people that it may help, and for subscribing if you haven't already and you'd like to see more like this. Also, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings from me at the website on the bottom of the screen. And thank you to those of you who are ordering private Reiki as well. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And if I don't see you here for a private session between now and then I'll see you back on the next video. Peace out.